The Culture Showcase, where I talk creative people behind pop culture today and yesterday. My guest today is a pop culture great. He has written for films and shows like Supernatural, Mortal Kombat, for both DC Comics and entertainment. He has crafted stories for characters such as The Flash, Green Lantern, and Teen Titans. Among his perhaps best known works is 2022's animated movie Batman Superman Battle of the Super Sons, which can be found on digital and streaming on Max now. He has signed an exclusive multi-year contract to further his collaboration with DC. I am thrilled to once again be speaking with Jeremy Adams.
Hello.
How you been, Jeremy?
I'm great. I'm great.
So I believe the first time you and I met, we actually had an interview before in 2022 for New York Comic Con, and
Oh,
that's when
cool.
Battle of the Super Sons came out. And for anyone tuning in now, that interview can also be found on my channel, Creative Conversations. So,
Yeah,
man,
that was a blast because
yeah,
I
it
think it
was a
was my
blast.
first time I was at New York Comic Con, and to be able to screen Super Sons in front of people was incredible.
I know. We'll get to that in a few seconds. So, for Wayne's story, let's start from the beginning. Where are you from?
I was originally born in a small desert town in Arizona called Casa Grande, Arizona, but I was raised in a mountain town called Prescott, Arizona, and moved out to Los Angeles after I graduated college and just started making my way in the entertainment world.
That's awesome. So, when did you knew you wanted to be in the entertainment world? And was it always as a writer, or did you explore other creative venues first before writing?
Writing was something that really struck me. I remember being in junior high and writing something for class, and everybody laughed. And I remember that being an incredible high. But I was very interested in film, but it never, when I was a kid, there was no real possibility. You didn't really think you could go into it as a job. But when I went to college, right during orientation, there was somebody that came up and spoke from the film department. And I was like, what? You can get a degree in film? So I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I knew I wanted to be in film. I really thought I wanted to be a director. And I moved out to Los Angeles. And, I think Los Angeles is a very humbling experience when you move out here as a creative because you realize everybody wants to do something creative
Yeah.
and I just started. I love writing, and I've always loved writing, and I started writing screenplays, and slowly but surely, kind of making my career in writing animated stuff, and that morphed into live action, and it morphed into comic books.
And speaking of that, when did you get your, how did you start at DC?
It was the result of writing for comic books was because I had done so much stuff for animation, and that had come as because I had met Jim Krieg and he was interested in me and the stuff I was doing, and the comic book world was basically Dan DiDio, who was running DC at the time, sent a note over saying like, "Hey, you guys are doing such a great job with animation. We'd love to interview and talk to some of your writers and have them do some comic books." Which was I'd always wanted to be in comic books, so having that opportunity was huge. And then the company shifted, and I thought I lost that opportunity, but my name was still on a list, and eventually they asked me to do some backups, and I did a couple backups, and they liked it enough that they asked me to come do the Flash for them, and that was really the start of my comic book career is writing the Flash. People really gravitated toward it, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
That's awesome, man. Good for you.
Yeah,
And
thank
on the
you.
subject of animation, let's get into 2022's Battle of the Super Sons.
Yeah.
So, in regards to that, Batman and Superman have always been two fundamentally different people and with different opposing worldviews. So, when you were scripting Battle of the Super Sons, how did you approach translating their dynamic into their sons, John and Damian?
Well, luckily, there's incredible books written by, the great Peter Tomasi that really captured the spirit of that. How that parenting style would impact different kids, but their differences would end up connecting them as best friends. And so a lot of that kind of like characterization was already put in place in the comic books, which was really great because what had happened was Rick Morales, who was the producer on that movie, he came to me and he goes, "We got to do this," and he handed me one of the books, and I read it, and I was like, I totally get it. It's so charming and it's so sweet. And though we didn't directly lift a story, it's like those characterizations were tried to stay as close and as authentic to that they are in the comic book. So it was really fun to write about this kid who is like, you've got Farm Boy John, who finds out his dad is Superman, which is like the greatest revelation ever for a kid. And then you have Damien, yeah, Damien, who is, had been raised as an assassin and is trying to turn over a new leaf as a good guy. So I mean, I can't tell you that project, along with a couple others, are some of my most favorite things I've ever been involved in.
So, is there a particular project you've done throughout your career that truly challenged you the most creatively? And if so, what would you say the most important things you learned from that project and that experience that later took with you later going forward?
I think, I would say maybe Batman Soul the Dragon, working with Bruce Timm, he was very much that, or maybe one of the Mortal Kombats. I really appreciated Bruce uh, wouldn't let me get by with something simple. You know, he would expect more. And that was such an incredible creative challenge, because when somebody comes to you and they basically say, I think you can do better here. And it wasn't like in a mean way necessarily, but there was an expectation that I could do better. And I think I rose to the challenge in that particular thing. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to make. Same thing with Mortal Kombat. Joel McHale, who did the voice of Johnny Cage, maybe even more in the Johnny Cage thing. I remember him at one point in the voice record. He kind of said, "Really?" Like there was something that happened, and he's like, I think you could do something better." And it was again that kind of challenge that was like, okay, sure. And that's the collaborative nature that I really enjoy. That kind of like, hey, I know you're talented enough that you can do something better. Because sometimes, you put in a car chase because you need a car chase, and they're
Who
like,
doesn't
hey,
need a
do
car
something.
chase?
Yeah,
We all need
and
Fast and Furious nowadays.
exactly. So those, I would say, those are some of the more creative, the challenging, but in a very good way. There have been other projects I've done that the creative challenges were not good. So
So I know there's a lot of secrets, or any project new and upcoming it has some secrecy in it, but is there anything you can tease about anything coming up for you?
there is a Lego show that I had been asked to come in and um, help play with that will be airing this fall or during the summer. And then I have a movie for Warner Brothers Animation that will be showing this fall. That's about it I can tell you on animation side. In terms of comics, there is a project that I'm doing that I can't say one word about other than I could not be more excited about it. I could not be more excited about it. So it's really a dream come true for me.
That's awesome, man. We cannot be more excited for all your work, especially that video this fall. If it does come to New York Comic Con, I will be there.
Sweet.
And thanks a lot. Thanks again, Jeremy. This has been awesome. You're awesome. And everyone,
Thank you.
thanks for tuning in and hopefully you can see us soon.
Thank you, Michael.